All right, now it's time to start talking about the king of all mobile editing apps, Adobe Lightroom Mobile CC. It's an amazing app that has almost all of the same functionalities that you get on the desktop version of the app. So one thing I do want to note is there is a premium version of Lightroom Mobile CC. It's actually called Lightroom CC. There's actually no mobile, but it's much easier to just call it Lightroom Mobile CC. But there is a premium version, and for $10 a month, you get access to a few more features, including specialized specific edits of different parts of the image. You get 1 terabyte of cloud storage. You can sync your profiles and your presets over, and then a few other features as well. It's something I recommend. It's very easy to sync photos over from Lightroom on your computer to your phone, and it's just a flawless process. It's really awesome. Highly recommend checking that out. If you guys don't have premium yet and you're interested in trying it, you can get a 7-day free trial. I'll add a link in the description of this video or of this course so you guys can check that out. Like I said, I highly recommend it. And as I'm going through and explaining Lightroom Mobile CC, I am going to be mentioning and using some of those premium features. If you don't have the premium version, it doesn't matter. You can just ignore those. There's only a few, so it's not that big of a deal. You can still get amazing edits just on the free version, so you don't need the premium version. But with that said, I want to dive in and just kind of go over the app and just kind of break down the different parts of the app. So let's do that now. So when you first open the app, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see basically the library. That's what those 3 little books are in the left-hand corner of the screen, upper left-hand corner. So you have all photos here, Lightroom camera photos, etc. So I organize my photos in albums, and that's what you can see here. And you can actually see this number on day 2 Indonesia slowly going up because I'm actively syncing photos from the desktop version of Lightroom over to my mobile phone as we speak. That's why that number is changing here. But this is basically the library. You can click here, see all of your photos, and then which you can import into Lightroom. Up here in the right-hand corner, you have settings here, just some basic settings. You have the syncing. That's what the little cloud is. So right now, it says it's synced and backed up. So I've synced all my photos. And you can also search. You can search through your photos there. Kind of a cool feature. But I organize mine in albums here. So let's go to 2019. Let's go to February 2019. And you can see I have 2 albums here already. Trip to Chiang Dao, which is up in northern Thailand. And then I had a little breakfast shoot here. So there's about 30 photos in there. What's cool is you can just create another album. So you can create an album here, test album. So there's a test album. I can click that album, and then I have the option to add photos just by clicking that little photo with the plus sign at the bottom right-hand corner. I can go from camera roll, and then I can add, any of these photos. So I can add, this photo, which is already in Lightroom, but I just want to use it as an example. And then if you were going to shoot, and you wanted to shoot with a raw photo, you just click the little camera down there, and it opens up into a camera, and you can go around and take raw photos. And actually, there's a few different functions here: high dynamic range, professional, automatic. The high dynamic range is cool because you get a lot of detail on the highlights, a lot of detail on the shadows. But that aside, in this album area, you have a few different things. You have your settings. You have a filter, so you can filter based on how you've sorted your photos in the past, and we're going to get into that. There's a cloud, and then once again, there's a search function. So let's go back to an album where I actually have some photos here. So my breakfast album. I'm going to click on the first photo here, and you can see a few things. You see the photo information on the left, and then you can see the date and the time it was shot, as well as the name. If I swipe right, I see all the photos from that day. Let me go back to the beginning here. Now you see all these editing functions on the bottom. We're going to get to that. But first, I want to talk about organization. And this is very, very important. And I'm going to explain this later. But if you click here, edit, the little arrow, there's a few things: rate and review, activity, keywords, and info. I don't really focus on info, keywords, or activity. It's kind of irrelevant for most situations. But rating and reviewing is very, very important for staying organized. One of the cool things about Lightroom is you can easily organize your photos. So here I have the album opened in the review section now. And as I scroll, I have this star thing here. So if I like a photo, I can go ahead and tap these 5 stars, and then I can rate it based on how much I like it. Usually I just do 5. I don't mess with doing 1 or 2, or I always just, if I like it, I make it 5. You can also flag it. If you really like it, you want to flag it. Then you just keep scrolling and do that for all the photos you really like. After you've done that, after you've done the review and you've gone through and done that with all your photos, you can go back to the main page. You can hit this little filter on the top, and then you can sort by photos that have 5 stars. So then you don't have to look at all the other photos that you didn't like. You only see the photos that you really like, which is a really, really cool feature. And that's one of the things I love about Lightroom Mobile. Okay, now once you open up a photo, you're going to be, once again, back on that editing tab. And you're going to see a bunch of different icons on the bottom here. And I do want to kind of go through them and give you a general overview of them. We are going to get more in detail on them later on in this course, but I do want to give you a general overview of the different sections, the different tabs. So starting out on the left, we have our selective edits. This is a premium feature. So you can tap here and you can do different selective edits of the photo. So if you want to just say you want to make that one tomato stand out, you can do that with this. Healing is also a premium feature. This is good for cleaning up skin. Once again, I'll show you how to use this later on. We have crop. So this is how you can crop and arrange photos. Profiles, so you can change the color profiles, which is a pretty cool feature. Auto adjustment, which I never use, and I don't recommend you use it either. We're going to do things manually in this course. And then we have light, and this is where we adjust exposure, contrast, highlight, shadows, blacks and whites. Once again, I'm going to dive into each of these features once we get into the editing, but I'm just outlining things here. And then once again, we have the tone curve, which is awesome for making very cool edits to the tones, the colors, everything's like that. And we have the color tab where we have the temperature of the photo, tint, things like that. And then we can get into the color mix. We have an effects tab where we can mess with clarity and a lot of other really interesting features that add texture and detail to the photo. Detail as well, so things like sharpening, noise reduction. Optics, something I don't use too much, but it's there. Essentially, it just you can change, you can fix, correct your lenses if there's a chromatic aberration, things like that. We'll talk about that more later on. Geometry, so adjusting distortion. And then we have presets, so Lightroom presets that you can add. And then previous basically just allows you to apply edits from previous photos, and then you can reset. So that's basically all of Lightroom. All the editing features. Once you want to export, you just hit this little save button at the top here, and you can save to camera roll, or you can share it, hit maximum, and you can share it directly to things like Instagram or other apps that you might have. So this was just kind of a rough overview of the different tabs, different features in Lightroom, but we're going to get really into them in a few lessons here. But first, I want to talk about the editing process. So the process that you go through when you edit a photo. So let's go do that now.